Hello, this is week 10 of the 13-week fiscal program for American Descendants of Slavery. My name is Chief Biko. Today we have Chief Alligator as well as Chief Quietwater. And again, as we always stress, this is a page for American Descendants of Slavery with emphasis on the A in the acronym ADOS, which is American. Before we get started, we always like to go over pretty much three things now within the Constitution. So I'll go ahead and share my page. One will be, of course, the actual legal tender for this Constitution, or what is actually considered money. Let me pull that up here. Here we go. And y'all let me know if I need to make this a little bit bigger. Desktop. All right, so I know I'm gonna have to make this bigger. All right, trying to go to page 3. Yes, okay, here we go. All right, so section 10, again, what is actually legal tender or what is actually money. Section 10, no state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts. So again, like we stress each week, gold and silver are the only actual things that can be payable towards debts. So any type of bill or taxes, any type of thing like that, that is the only thing that would really be considered gold, actual money. So this current fiat that we are calling money, this paper, that's not actual money and it's not backed by anything. And we'll always close on our videos stating that it's not backed by anything with the Gold Standard Act in 1971. Also, another thing that we like to highlight here, which Chief Alligator pointed out last week, is that no state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation. So again, what we're starting to get into now, which is the secession, which is, of course, the splitting of the government between the Union and the Confederates. We see here in the Constitution that any forming of a confederation will be pretty much illegal underneath this Constitution. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm just today at this moment, I'm just seeing make believe, like you said, what we call money or cash today, which is really fiat currency. It's not backed by gold or silver. So the only thing that makes this whole system real, we have to mentally believe that we were slaves. We have to mentally believe there is money. And going back to your last statement, we have to mentally believe that Europeans formed a government called Confederation, when in reality, that was an American form of government. And when I listen to a lot of scholars, and it's probably due to the schooling, they intertwine the word America with the United States government. You have to mentally separate the two, because the land was here before July 4th, 1776. Mm-hmm. So at the point of this Civil War, they're in Virginia going back north. I don't think a lot of us understand that there were no states from Maine to California during the Civil War. That's right. So I'm just talking about the idea or the belief system. This is all mental. The way this thing is operating now, it's all mental. You can be whatever you want to be in 2021 under this current government. So we've gotten off of real money. Now we've gotten off of real gender, real sexuality, and we've gotten off of lineage. So now we're literally in a world of make-believe. You can be whatever you want to be if you play along with their governmental system. I'll stop right there.
I'll let it.
I agree with what you're saying in regards to it's just open season for anything that you want to be. So if you didn't know before how things were structured, and to know that we actually did have confederacies before they claimed to have established them, then you're way off. Now that we're in 2020 and we're in this make-believe land, we're far from reality and what the truth is. So we have to get back grounded and understand and know our history.
Totally agree. Totally agree with both of you on that one. And I'm not sure if you all seen lately, there's been a lot of, they said, I was watching the news earlier, they were saying it's been an uptick in smash and grab, just as far as going into stores, grabbing things of value. And it kind of just brings to the point, like this fiat that we're putting this value on really is only valuable to get those things. So
Right.
like Chief Alligator was stating, we are in this made up thing of where like whatever we classify as valuable, that's what we're going to put our energy towards. So again, if
Right.
we stop valuing this fiat currency, then of course it won't be valuable. It's almost like the whole thing of cryptocurrency. There's nothing tangible there, but people put a value on it, so people want it, type of thing. So great point there. Great point. Let me see. We're going to go down to, I believe it is, let me zoom out a little bit. Should be Article 6. And I think this is it here. Yes. Go up here. All right, in Article 6, just to bring everything together, what we was talking about in previous weeks, the treaties that we were reading prior, the treaties of Payne Landing, Treaty of Moultrie Creek, Treaty of Fort Gibson. This is why we read them. This Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land. And the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Any shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary, notwithstanding. So again, people, treaties are the supreme law of the land, or the highest law of the land. So these judges, these municipal courts, these state laws, state statutes, they have to go by whatever treaty is pretty much superseding that. So again, these treaties, this is the reason why we read those treaties, and also it's the reason why we're getting into pretty much the main reason of the Civil War. Because as we stated, two of those treaties, the one in Moultrie Creek and Payne's Landing, our ancestors were contracting with a rogue military, which would pretty much take over our land, our government, which is the Confederacy. And then we have the last treaty, Treaty of Fort Gibson, which is the one that actually was contracted with the U.S. corporation of government. So you can see that struggle of power in which treaty holds more weight. So that's what we'll be seeing as we read through the secessions. Anybody want to piggyback off that?
Yeah, you can't know the real American story without reading the treaties, the supreme law of the land. You just hit it again. I'm gonna put you on a soapbox, Chief Biko. It's just amazing to hear somebody from your generation, man, overstand and understand everything that's going on as far as what you just broke down. Chief Blackcoat, you're just coming in. Chief Biko was just
on, y'all.
Going on, Chief.
He was just talking about treaties being the supreme law of the land. And I'm gonna give a shout out to both of y'all. Just the fact that this, we didn't know this when we were in our 20s, you know. So again, that's part of what we're doing, is passing this baton and kind of coming out of that shallow grave, us being Americans. And I'll just pose this question to anybody that listens to the video and follows this timeline of proof of claim that we're providing to the world. Why is it so hard for you to just be American? Why do you have to be Black? Why do you have to be colored, Negro? Why can't you just be American? Stop right there. Somebody got a background. Somebody got a little background noise.
Rosen. Let me see something. Might be me. You want to piggyback off of that, Chief Black Coat or Chief Quietwater? Try to shrink.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know why it's a tough pill to swallow, but yeah, starting to see more and more of people afraid of being, just American. That term Black is kind of integrated into us. So it's like, what's the disconnect? Where's the disconnect and why is it? So it's a great question.
Because we don't know. I think that's the reason why we embrace all of these different terms that means nothing to us, is because we don't know.
If I can add one thing on that, while Chief Biko stepped away, we have to understand that Black doesn't mean anything lawfully. That in itself should make our people step away from that term. Black doesn't mean anything in law. So why do we continue to use something that's not recognized in law?
Right.
Yeah, it's like we're off the platform. We're of lawful governance of people on planet Earth. When you say Black, there's no nation called Black. So I try not to get mad when I see scholars continue to use that word, religious people use that word, but the more you educate yourself, the more you start realizing, why are you using that term? Why are we not American? How can people come off a boat with immigration papers, first generation immigrant, and they claim to be us? I'm confused on that. If any one of y'all want to say anything, it just amazes me. You can be fresh off the boat from Europe and you'll wave that American flag and scream, go Trump, make America great. Meanwhile, we got 4 or 5 generations that we can trace back buried in this land, and we just refuse to call ourselves American.
Hey, that's what you really said, that made us hate ourselves.
Right. Yeah.
To quote Kanye on that one, man, this is really crazy. Another topic I saw maybe last week, just on this topic here, with people coming straight off the boat and claiming to be American. Enes Kanter. I know he changed his name to Enes Kanter Freedom, but it's like, yeah, I'm so proud to be American. And I'm seeing people reading in the comments like, yeah, man, welcome to this. And I'm like,
you talking about the NBA player?
Yeah, he got his citizenship. Which again, this is something that we always, you got to differentiate, just like America and U.S. government. There has to be some borders, and we have to check this stuff. So we're here to check it now. But one thing is like, yeah, you're not American. You're a U.S. citizen.
Right.
There's a difference in making sure that, hey, you can take it however you want to, but
that's the facts.
The truth. You know what I'm saying? Right. You're from whatever country he's from, that's you. But you're not American, you're a U.S. citizen. And just having that pride in ourselves of knowing like, nah, we American, plain and simple. Like we stated a couple weeks back, if your great-grandparent, great-grandma, your great-great-grandma buried on this land, you American, man. Plain and simple. So
plain and simple.
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard. It's nothing to be ashamed about, and we're saying it's nothing to be ashamed about because we're providing you evidence of what we've done. Every time we read those inventors of the week, we've been on one inventor for the past 4 weeks. That should just show you in itself how much stuff we've contributed to this land, to this government, to this company, I should say. So we need to get recognized as such. So yeah, man, I mean, I'm definitely not afraid to say I'm American anymore after learning what I've learned. So again, I think it's that educational piece, actually knowing and understanding what you're reading as well.
Right.
Can you hit that last article in the Constitution before we move forward on the militia, who controls the militia, and then we'll get right into that. Black Coat, you want to build on that about us just not wanting to just be American?
It's you can also, or you can kind of see the works of the school system. I remember asking one of my college professors about, Indians or Native Americans being here on this land and Black people having that lineage in them. And he straight up told me, it's a myth, or, most Black people think they got Indian in their blood. And it's like, because most of us do, but in that moment, I can see the indoctrination the school does when it comes to these type of topics. They just brush it off and be like, oh, everybody think they got this in them. And it's like, well, because we do. But, the school does a job on it. You got the immigrants coming in doing that job. So now they're calling themselves Americans. So it just kind of pushes you in the back even more. It's that's the I think that's why we do this channel. The main reason is so we can become the American again. For you to know you're the American again. And we're just gonna continue to do what we do. It is outrageous with the whole citizens coming over here, becoming citizens. And then now they just claim American. It's just like, all right.
Coming fresh off the boat and getting more rights than the real Americans. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's our own fault, though. We got to know that. We have to stand on who we are.
Facts. I think that's a good stopping point to even kind of segue into this. Like, why are we this way? And I think this section here just pretty much shows it's because we got the gun pointed to us. We on a military occupation. You see here, section 2, the president shall be commander-in-chief of the Army, Navy of the United States and the militia of several states. So not only do you have, of course, people joining from each state to, join this Army, join this Navy, you also have people who are just at home, not the National Guard, but just at home, forming up their own little military circuits and branches within this militia. We shown the military buffer state of Georgia. We showed the militia districts. We show that all the time. So it's like, we're not pulling this stuff out of thin air, people. Like, this is why I feel a lot of us are afraid to even, admit or voice what we know. Like you said, those scholars, they know this stuff. But again, I'm gonna say Black because I don't want to be, looked at or be an investigator put underneath the big brother's eye or things of that nature. But at some point, man, you gotta get some kahunas about yourself and stand on what you know, whether they like it or not, because it's only going to, be beneficial for your people.
Only going to be beneficial when we out there screaming reparations.
Right.
How do we get that?
Exactly. Reparations to who?
Definitely not being Black.
Correct.
Not about being Black. That's not a nation. That's not a thing.
A lot of people like to say it's, it's a culture thing. Nah, it's an American culture then, not a Black culture.
It could be a culture thing if we already understood the American part.
Correct. Exactly. That's why I'm in agreement with you. But see, that's where we again have to differentiate the two. Differentiate the two. Okay, you saying Black as in culture?
Can't be right. Can't be Black first, American second.
Correct.
Right. So. And I would just throw in on this, you notice how they pushed reparations to the back burner as far as this group is concerned. They're throwing out a lot of things that we didn't talk about in 2020. We didn't talk about a poor people's campaign. We didn't talk about voting rights.
Right.
We were talking about defund the police, which is tied to the George Floyd Act that no longer exists. And we were talking about reparations. And so what we see is a diversion from that, from the Black Congressional Caucus. They do not want to bring that up because what we're talking about with this Civil War, we're about to see how we got denationalized, how we became Negro, colored, Black underneath their government. This is that moment in American history where those that did not go west of the Mississippi after bloodshed during the Civil War, we got denationalized. We didn't know it. It's almost like you moving into a neighborhood of Europeans and the Europeans say, well, the way our structure works is a little different than yours. If you get caught stealing in your neighborhood, you would cut that person's hand off. However, in our form of government, we have plausible deniability. And so what happens is we've stepped into a legal or lawful structure that we don't understand. And the world doesn't understand it. If you look at the eastern side of the planet, Asia, Africa, the European will tell you, well, their way of handling law or issuing out law to its people, it's more harsh. No, they just say right is right, wrong is wrong.
Right.
But under this structure, you could kill somebody on video and they say, well, wait a minute, we don't have all the evidence.
Right.
Correct. Plausible deniability and all these other made up terms that they like to throw out.
Right. Literally made up terms.
Yeah, great point.
We like to run in circles with things while other countries get straight to the point.
Yeah.
Did you not do it or did you? Okay, you did it.
It's on video.
Exactly. Now, what was your intent? Man, what
Right.
is this? All these subjective things.
Kamala Harris, real quick, she's not Black. And so this shows you that you're being erased and you're being set up for genocide. And this coincides with World War II, how they were able to do the Jews. It was through the media that the Jews were dehumanized in Germany. Look at us. The only time you make viral news is on a murder case.
Yeah.
That's the only time that every news station runs something about us. It was George Floyd. Then it was Ahmaud Arbery. Now you got the young man that was killed during the George Floyd case. So here we go. Starting next week, you're about to see another nationwide murder trial. You see nothing positive when it comes to us. It's always negative and it's always murder. And so you're conditioning the immigrants that come over here, as well as the Europeans, you're conditioning them that, only thing you need to know about quote unquote Black people is crime, jail, murder. That's going to be unacceptable. As a parent, as somebody that has a child and has a family, that's unacceptable that you think that I'm going to walk around in society while you target my people and not look at the long run and say, well, what is it going to look like when my son becomes 40 years old? You see what I'm saying? So when you're shaking your head as to why we're doing this, we got family.
Yeah.
So when you see us as individuals doing something positive in society, understand there's a body, there's a family tree that comes with that. And you're not going to single out and pick your winners and losers while the family loses. I'm going to stop right there if y'all want to build on that.
No, I'm about to say that's a great point, man. And then just to piggyback off the news thing of what we only see is, our people getting slain in the streets. Just take it back to like those lynching parties. They bring out the whole town. Let's watch some violence on some these niggas or these Americans. True. It's the same thing here. It's just a broader audience now. We ain't got to leave our homes to do it no more. It's convenient. You see what I'm saying? So even that in itself, it shows like pretty much what they've been doing from us since pretty much day one, since they've been over on this
nothing
on
has
our land.
changed.
Nothing has
changed.
Just I guess the service in which they doing it or how they viewing it.
So we're gonna jump into these secessions.
Jump into that. Digital history. This should be it. All right. Is it showing the? Oh yeah, it should be showing it now.
So we got
digital history. Then we on Florida now because we ended off on Mississippi. I know we only got 2, South Carolina and Mississippi.
Correct.
Okay. Who wanted to start off this week?
I'll go ahead and start.
Okay.
So we're on Florida.
Yes.
Okay, so the Florida Ordinance of Secession. We, the people of the state of Florida, in convention assembled, do solemnly ordain, publish, and declare the state of Florida hereby withdraws herself from the Confederacy of States existing under the name of the United States of America and from the existing government of the said states, and that all political connection between her and the government of said states ought to be and the same is hereby totally annulled. and said union of states dissolved, and the state of Florida is hereby declared sovereign, independent nation, and that all ordinances heretofore adopted insofar as they created or recognized said union are rescinded, and all laws, part of laws in force in this state insofar as they recognize or assent to said union be and they are hereby repealed. Passed 10th of January, 1861. So basically, they separated themselves in January 1861 from the Confederacy. Yeah,
Well,
that's it.
yeah, they actually they separated from the United States government.
Uh-huh.
So the state of Florida declared itself to be its own sovereign, independent nation, and they withdrew from the Union, which is also known as the United States government. But what I'm taking from this right now is that couldn't happen without a military. And so here we go again, back to our group. We have to have some type of defense for our group of people. The idea that you're going to have preachers and politicians be your leaders, you're out of order with the world. You cannot call shots without armed protection. And so they were able to do this and say, we're separating from the United States government. Why? They got a military and a militia. Yeah, so we're not going to get anywhere if we think we're not going to get any kind of justice under this government marching and praying.
Correct.
And I can stand on that because as of 2021, with a new president coming in office, you haven't gotten any resources to this day specifically for you. Why? Because nobody fears your marching and your praying. I'll stop right there.
Well, we see how we get justice now with the Ahmaud Arbery trial just ending. You know, they had to get brothers armed, you know, ARs and pistols with bulletproof vests on and Kevlars. So it's like, if that's our way of getting justice, this whole script is kind of laying itself out about our group being at prisoner of war when we have to actually go over and above normal procedure for everybody else just to see some type of justice.
Right.
Just going back to resources. This group hasn't got anything specific for, well, there's only one real reason, you know, being the indigenous. You know, the other groups are playing for keeps. So I can't sponsor the people that live here or was born here. They might try to take it back. So that's how I'm seeing that whole thing spill out. No resources, yeah, starve that group out. You know, they want to get rid of this group, our group, the American. I'll leave it right there.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. No, I definitely agree with that. Limit the amount of resources we're going to give the actual Americans on this land and give whatever resources we have to these immigrants or whoever else is coming in here to supplant the actual American, put them again in that state of confusion. But like Chief Black Coast State said, if we have to go above and beyond to even get a semblance of justice, then that in itself should show, you know, we're prisoner of war and this system isn't for us. The system isn't broken. The system is working perfectly. It's just not meant for us. So again, yeah, we have to have this, we have to arm ourselves and we have to get organized in arming ourselves with that, being able to defend ourselves if need be and get on attack if we need be. Because I really believe that's the only reason why they didn't go to a mistrial or anything like that as far as the jury, because we had soldiers on the ground outside of that, not because Jesse Jackson showing up or Al Sharpton. So again, that's in, like you stated, they didn't even show that on any news cycles or anything like that. Or if they did, it was a glimpse and they showed them on their knees, you know, crying or praying. So see again how the media is trying to to represent us as docile people, always waiting hand and foot for these people who are masquerading as Americans to give the real Americans what they deserve, their due justice.
I'll do Alabama.
All right.
All right, Alabama, an ordinance to dissolve the union between the state of Alabama and the other states united under the compact style, the Constitution of the United States of America. Whereas the election of Abraham Lincoln and Hannibal Hamlin to the offices of President and Vice President of the United States of America by a sectional party, avowedly hostile to the domestic institutions and to the peace and security of the people of the state of Alabama, preceded by many and dangerous infractions of the Constitution of the United States by many of the states and people of the northern section, is a political wrong of so insulting, and menacing a character as to justify the people of the state of Alabama in the adoption of prompt and decided measures for their future peace and security. Therefore, so we can clearly see they're describing Abraham Lincoln and Hamlin as Hannibal Hamlin.
Mm.
So they're clearly unhappy about the new president and vice president that got elected by a quote unquote sectional party. And so they're laying out why they basically are going to succeed from the union. It looks like based off Abraham Lincoln and Hannibal Hamlin being elected as president and vice president. Anybody else want to build on that paragraph right there?
Yeah, it seemed like they went into more detail in regards to their reasoning why they were seceding from the government, from the United States.
Definitely agree with that.
With the language that they're using. It's a little bit more in detail from the previous state.
Definitely.
Yeah, Hamilton,
detail.
or Hamlin.
Yeah, so we can see the disdain that they have, or pretty much the people in Alabama, the Europeans, they were angry at them two being elected. And basically they felt like it was, like you said, dangerous and infractions of the Constitution of the United States. But Chief Blackcoat, Chief Biko, y'all want to build on that, or?
No, I think I said it. My bad,
I
Chief
definitely
Biko.
agree with that. No, I was gonna say same thing. I agree with it. Definitely seemed like more on a personal tip versus the other states that we've read thus far. Kind of even reminds me of the January 6th, kind of that same energy, that same type of language, like painting Abraham, which parallel, I guess, with Biden and Hamlin to Kamala, as far as, you know, like, okay, only by a sectional party, like this something don't seem quite right. But they went ahead and took it a step further and just seceded from the whole United States government. But I could still see like that type of, I guess, parallel between the two.
All right. So the next paragraph, be it declared and ordained by the people of the state of Alabama in convention assembled that the state of Alabama now withdraws and is hereby withdrawn from the union known as the United States of America, and henceforth ceases to be one of the said United States, and is and of right ought to be a sovereign and independent state. So I'm just seeing here that convention assembled, that sticks out to me. You don't hear anything about preachers, right? When these people, when these group of people go for power, you don't hear religious undertones, and they're not talking from a third party stance, like hoping that their Lord or their God. No, they're going to assemble, they're going to organize, and they're going to pull the trigger on whatever it is they want to do.
Right.
That's what I'm taking from this paragraph. They don't deal with the hocus pocus that our group likes to kind of wallow in when it's time to get stuff done.
Correct. They're not leaving it up to chance. and not leaving it up to chance.
Right. They basically have a plan and they just execute the plan.
Mhm.
And we're reverse engineering that, by the way. Every time we show up on Sunday and we do this is called organizing, right? And we've yet to see our group of people as a whole, these quote unquote, we don't have leaders. We have television spokespersons, but leadership means organize. And what we're watching is the state of Alabama organize. The people who assembled were willing to organize and disconnect from the United States government.
Yeah.
So we are.
And as we've mentioned before, it doesn't take a large, it doesn't have to be 99.9% of the mass of people. It just takes a few to be on the forefront to show that, we're united, we're organized, and pretty much by any means necessary, what we are organizing and the goal that we're reaching, we will reach,
By any means
Right.
necessary.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point too. Oh, go ahead, Chief Black Hope.
No, I was just saying, like, it takes so much for our group just to get one single code. It's like pulling teeth. I guess because we live in this big world of everything's at your fingertips now, no one can understand or stick to one script or stick to a plan. Last year, it seemed like everybody kind of understood the goal and we went back to sleep. So it's like back to normal routines when it comes to police brutality, back to normal routine when it goes to resources, back to normal. It's on us. Like, we have to be the one to just continue to rattle the cage day in and day out. But we get back to, la la land. Everything's okay when time is ticking, and it's not okay.
No, that's a great point. I definitely wanted to dive a little deeper into what Chief Quietwater stated, though, in regards to, it doesn't take a lot of people to get this stuff, started, get the ball rolling on these things. We don't need, 80, 70% to buy in. I'm pretty sure these conventions had maybe 12 people within them. But you see that we're speaking for a state of people. Now, however you want to paint the narrative of how we're going to get them to buy in, we'll hold off on that, and we'll come up with a plan to make sure they buy in, which was, they trying to take away your slave labor, exalt, these different things to get the people to buy in. But as long as a small group of people are on the same mindset and the same time within different areas, we can do this as well, people.
Exactly.
It's not hard. It's hard to play telephone with millions of people, but it's easy to play it with 20. This communication line should be similar with those 20 versus millions of people trying to get them on the same code. So that's all we got to do. Y'all just come together, small group here and there. That's why I start with community building, again, going back to our ancestors, tribes, become nations, then Confederacy. So the blueprint is here.
Just gotta admit you're American first. Once you get that part, the rest follows. Okay, so how did American do business? Or how did the Americans do business? And we get back to that.
Yeah.
Just gotta claim who you are first.
I'll push the next section. Where we at? Section 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Be it further declared and ordained by the people of the state of Alabama and convention assembled, that all powers over the territory of said state and over the people thereof, heretofore delegated to the government of the United States of America, be and they are hereby withdrawn from said government and are hereby resumed and vested in the people of the state of Alabama. So yeah, they're converting a nation that was under the Creek Confederacy. They've converted it into a state that's under the United States government. And so now they're withdrawing themselves from the United States government, right? Going back to what y'all just said on the last reading, it's simply a declaration, or it's declaring something. right? Like you said, this convention assembled couldn't have been no more than 50 people. Let's just use 50 people. But who were those 50 people?
Right.
Were those 50 people groups of people? Well, let me back. When Chief Blackco said, how did our ancestors do business? Number one, there was no capitalism. So then you got to ask yourself, well, how do we do business if it wasn't capitalism? It wasn't capitalism. Everybody paid a tax. Everybody paid a tax first and foremost for the armed defense. So that means whatever your skill set was, you know how y'all like to, I'm not saying y'all on this channel, but you know how our group of people love to tithe to a Lord that you and Europeans, quote unquote, believe in. Well, the American way was the first thing you pay tax to is to your armed defense. That's your first built-in tax. We read it in the maroon points. So it goes back to recovery, reconditioning our mind. The priest should not be first in line to get your money. Let me say that again. The priest is not supposed to be the first person to get your money. The first people to get your money are the ones that's willing to put their life on the line to protect
protection.
You.
Right.
Great point.
That's what you pay your tax to first.
Yeah.
We read it every
security.
We can't do business and ain't nobody there to protect it.
Correct.
Sold us on the God thing. You know, God is now our new protector. So I pay my tax to the church.
And if the God was still the protector, then there wouldn't be no
any of this.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if they're
If it
all
was that
seeing,
simple.
all knowing. Exactly. Come on, people. Ask yourself these questions.
Why are you paying tax, or why are you giving anything to the church?
I mean, you whatever building or whatever thing you want to give to, we're not gonna, you don't want to micromanage a person to that extent, but it shouldn't be number one.
Right.
It should be like number 10, like first thing would be your military. Yeah. Second
after
thing
I
should
pay
be
myself.
your elder. Well, your okay, boom. So off the top of my head, number one is your defense. Number two, you pay a tax to your elderly, right? Because they're up in age. They can't do for themselves anymore.
Right.
Third, you pay a tax to the babies. You see what I'm saying? Because they can't protect themselves. Now that middle-age group from 50 to 20, we're the engine in that society. We're the ones that generate everything to take care of the elders and the youth.
Right.
Right now, what we do is we just take care of the preacher.
Yeah.
And all we got to do is look at the world stage. Everybody has armed protection, whether it be, what am I trying to say? Al-Qaeda, right? Asians, everybody has armed defense but us.
Yeah.
So it's not foreign and it's not blasphemy to say that, but yeah, we're backwards at this point. We finance, our number one should be number 10 on our expense sheet. The first person we give money to should not be tithing.
That's true.
No
argument here. Well, you ended off on section 2.
Yeah, and so what says, and as it is the desire and purpose of the people of Alabama to meet the slave-holding states of the South who may approve such purpose in order to frame a provisional as well as permanent government upon the principles of the Constitution of the United States. Key sentence. I want to take that slave holding apart. As it is desired and purpose of the people of Alabama to meet the slave holding states of the South. This is wordplay. What we now know is the most quote unquote slaves that were ever sold on this land was 430 something.
Right.
So for you to say slave holding states, they took the word prisoner of war and replaced it with slave hold, or they replaced prisoner of war with slave. Because that's to disconnect you that your ancestors fought on this land and you're actually from this land.
Correct.
That's another lie on top of all the other lies about who invented electricity, who invented all these things. That's another lie. When they call you slave, it's to disconnect you from the reality that you were conquered on this land.
Mhm.
But here's a question that I have for anybody who believes otherwise. If we were slaves, why are we the only group of people that have fought in every war on American soil? If we're not the American, why are we the only people that fought in every war on this soil?
Good question.
So were you a slave or were you a prisoner of war?
Right.
Think about it from a tactical standpoint. If somebody bum rushes your town, yeah, you may destroy the town if you got a lot of resistance in that town and the people aren't willing to be conquered. But let's say the people put up resistance and then they eventually tap out. What would you do as a military to generate the resources from that area that you just occupied? You want those people to go about business as usual. The only difference is you're going to be reaping the rewards of whatever it is they're generating.
Getting tax.
Yeah, so you're under occupation. You're not a slave. You're actually under occupation. What's your thoughts on that little sentence I just read?
No, it definitely stood out to me as well that slaveholding states. I wish we had. I had to find that map, but it was a map showing the actual states that would pretty much collect the prisoners of war and then have them sent to these different camps that we call plantations today. And it was like pretty much showing which states were pretty much the ones to capture them and then where they would be sent. So that kind of was what sparked in my head in regards to that, as far as the slave holding, prisoner of war holding states there. But no, definitely agree with that as far as you needing people who were familiar with that land to still go about business as usual, except now instead of, paying, like the taxes you just stated, paying it to them, now we'll be the preacher, you're paying it to us first. If you're going to have anything left, which you won't at this point, because we're not allowing you to continue to even have an economic structure going on underneath our surveillance. So I definitely agree with that.
I agree with both of you.
Chief Black Coat.
I'll agree.
All right, I'll do this last one. Or the next one. Be it resolved by the people of Alabama in convention assembled that the people of the states of Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Missouri be and are hereby invited to meet the people of the state of Alabama by their delegates in convention on the 4th day of February, AD 1861, at the city of Montgomery in the state of Alabama, for the purpose of consulting with each other as to the most effectual mode of securing concerted and harmonious action in whatever measures may be deemed most desirable for our common peace and security. Now, what we just saw right here is Europeans saying in that last sentence, they're going to organize and they want delegates from all these states to meet up in Montgomery, Alabama. For what reason? Securing concerted and harmonious action in whatever measures may be deemed most desirable for our what? Peace and security.
For our common too, collective.
So what's wrong with our group of people doing the same thing? We want peace and security. So you got to organize. We're reading in that Alabama saying we'll host the event. All of y'all send y'all delegates from all these states to Montgomery, Alabama, and we're going to get on code where how are we going to protect ourselves on this foreign land from the Americans? Because we just toppled all their capitals in those respective states. How do we protect ourselves from them coming back and taking it back? They got on code.
Yeah.
Right.
It was the only way.
Y'all. Yeah.
And that code still today. Oh, my bad, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying it was the only way really to stay here on this land is to develop that unity, strong unity. yeah, that was the only way. And we can take a play out of their book, from just that alone about being here on the land and everybody coming together, and still to this day, still today, that code being just as strong.
Go ahead, Chief Quietwater.
I agree. It's just being in one accord, just across the board, in a, like they said, harmonious action. Everyone on the same page, working towards the same goal.
Right.
And nothing is off the table. Let me throw that out, because other states said in our Lord's name or whatever, but they say, like Chief Quietwater just said, harmonious action in whatever measures may be deemed. What that means, nothing was off the table.
Right.
Are we killing people? Are we
It
incarcerating?
doesn't matter.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
As long as we secure.
Can't go back.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that to say that's a business mindset, because they're saying this ain't about morals. We're saying that in order for us to occupy this land, nothing's off the table as far as what we can do. Why do we always come to the business table with morals? As a group of people, why do we always want to be?
Not business savvy. Yeah, no, great point.
And it's your shit. It's your shit, but you want to be moral, but they took your shit.
Nah, this one here, I guess second to last paragraph there, just speaks volumes to what we just talking about. They got delegates, again, not a large amount of people from each area, each community, each tribe, come together. Okay, we gonna come sit down to see, hey, anything's on the table, any ideas, no idea is stupid, no idea is silly. Whatever you think, we gonna come together and we gonna come up with this plan. Y'all meet us here at this time. We gonna make sure we come up with a plan of action to secure our peace and security. Now, what we see here is something that is specific, is measurable, and tangible. It can be easily correlated. What we'll see once we end this, our readings for today, we'll see that one group of people, our group of people, classify themselves as Black still, Congressional Black Caucus. You won't see any specific goals outlined, nothing measurable. Everything is broad. It's nothing that can be easily measured, and it's inclusive for everybody. They had stuff that was specific, and they knew exactly what was going on. And it's like, damn, we supposed to have our delegates, but they aren't doing this. And it's supposed to be a smaller group, or a smaller amount, you would think, to come together and secure our common peace and security. But for 50 plus years, or for 50 years now, it's going to be 51, they haven't done any of that. So again, I guess we got to weed out the ones who are hindering us as well. We have to.
Right.
Because they're holding us back at this point, because this shit here is not rocket science. It's not rocket science at all.
I'll finish off this last couple of sentences for Alabama. And be it further resolved that the president of this convention be and is hereby instructed to transmit forthwith a copy of the foregoing preamble, ordinance, and resolutions to the governors of the several states named in said resolutions. So they're going to send all those states in the previous paragraph a copy of the preamble, the ordinances, and the resolutions. So they'll all have the same code as to what they agree on how they're going to handle certain things. They're not going to be guessing. They're going to go right back to their operating procedure and be like, okay, when this happens, if I'm in the state of Kentucky, this is what we doing. Arizona going to do the same thing. Louisiana, they're on code. I'll do that last sentence under Alabama. Done by the people of the state of Alabama and convention assembled at Montgomery on this, the 11th day of January, AD 1861.
I just want to say one thing. These states, again, as we saw in that last paragraph, or the biggest paragraph there, just read with all the states, they're moving with quickness. It's swiftly being done. We saw one, they both seceded, I believe, January, one day without behind each other, 9th, 10th,
Right.
11th. They
Right.
ain't playing no
Mhm.
games, y'all. They like, nah, we getting this shit done
Right.
now. We gonna set a date for a month out. Y'all bring your delegates, and we gonna make something happen. Not this. Well, we'll see next quarter
Right.
or
Next
the end of the
election.
next election. Everything they want to always pass the buck with our people. Why you think that is? But when somebody else brings something to the table, oh yeah, we'll get that done within 30 days.
Mhm.
Y'all, we'll see you within the 90 days. We'll have your trial period. Then we'll see after that because we got to put something in front of it. So no.
I think it's obvious, Chief Biko, what you just said. Let's just say it.
Mhm.
If they're always pushing an agenda for that group down the road, that's the problem. The people that are pushing you down the road, they're robbing you. The resources that's supposed to be going to you, they're getting them. How can I say that? When those Asians got killed in Atlanta, every congressperson voted to give that Asian and Pacific Islander bill. Let me say that again. Every congressperson voted yes to protect the Asians.
Mhm.
But they threw the George Floyd Act away because everybody didn't vote on it.
Mhm. But there's a rainbow coalition.
So the idea that anything coming to us has the weight and we need rallies and you got to get in the streets and you need to pick up the phone and call your politicians, that's all
Vote.
BS.
Mhm.
That's all BS. They're robbing us. They're siphoning off the resources. The people who are supposed to be representing us, the money that's supposed to be coming to us, they're dividing those percentages amongst themselves. Your nonprofit organizations get a percentage. Black Lives Matter, your clergy, your NAACP. These politicians are getting a percentage of everything that's supposed to come to us. I just said it. They're robbing us. That's the only reason you're gonna keep telling me I can't address Chief Biko that I owe you 4 tires on your car. I know you told me, I know you got my tires fixed, but I always got an excuse when it's time for me to straighten you.
Mhm.
That's what the Black Caucus is. They always have an excuse when it comes time to get some kind of straightening.
Mhm.
They robbing you. Y'all want to say, I just said it.
That's what I said. You
Because
gotta
where the
clear
money
weeds
going?
out. Exactly. Where the money going, man?
There's an entire group of people that's not being accounted for. So if they're not accounting for it, where's all that money like
Mhm.
pocketing it? Gotta be.
Yeah.
If everybody else is getting, gays, immigrants, whoever Asian, whoever. All right. So what about that group? Gotta be going into the pocket. Where else is going?
And we're allowing it.
Because we don't know. Well, I don't even think we're allowing it, Chief Quietwater. I really think we've been dumbed down.
Yeah, I agree.
And we really don't understand who's right, because we understand robbery. Like I just gave a simple example. If Chief Biko fixed my car and I said, bro, I got you. Give me about 4 pay periods and I got you. After that 4th pay period, Chief Biko got every right to ring on my doorbell whenever he want. Man, what's up with that bread? And I always got an excuse. And so that's what the Black Caucus is to us. Every time we want something specific, they got an excuse.
Yeah.
You let the momentum die in 2020. See, you should have stayed in the streets. Well, wait a minute. Y'all were just complaining about you didn't want people in the streets and tearing down everything, but that's neither here nor there. Why did the Asians get everything they wanted from Congress without any kind of mass protest?
Correct.
See, when you put us on the scale with other groups of people, it exposes them for who they are. It took 30 days for them to get the Asian and Pacific Islander hate crime bill passed.
Shit, I'm saying like, God damn, how quick y'all wrote that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Y'all already had that coming down the pipeline.
Right.
It take us 2 months to write something, supposedly. But again, like you just stated, Chief Alligator, they had that bill passed within 30 days. Hell, the dude got what? Well, just coming an example, dude killed them on the 8th, bill passed the end of the month, January, in the month of January, something. Like, damn.
And it's because those Asian nations have a military.
Mm-hmm.
See, let's not forget that when their minister of defense stood up, Korea, I don't know their structure, but Korea's representative stood up, China's representative stood up. Those different nations in Asia, their leaders or their military stood up and was like, this will not happen again. And all of a sudden, you saw the Congress over here, they went to moving.
Mm-hmm.
People respect fire.
Correct.
Our group has no fire.
That's
We
a good point.
gotta beg. I'm just reminding people, because I was watching that, I was like, wow, you're looking at structure. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You were looking at structure. When that happened, you looking at Asian representatives stand up around the world and were like, no, this is not going to be the new normal.
Mm-hmm. Like you said, they had the threat of the military. So I guess it brings a point here, like, okay, we're not getting any type of payments, any form of resources. So instead of us pulling up to the voting stands, we pull up to them with guns. Or we pull up to these things with our arms, because that seems the only way to get any sort of action started. We saw it again with the Ahmaud Arbery trial. So it's like, okay, let's test this. Let's try this since this other stuff ain't working.
Well, I agree with that, but I would say before we show up with arms, stop supporting it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what I'm saying is, and I guess we'll start with Georgia next week. Okay. What I'm saying is what I've learned over my lifetime, and when I observe other groups that are winning in society, nobody wins without discipline. And so the fact that we think that we're going to be undisciplined and unorganized and we're going to accomplish anything as a group of people is unrealistic. That's why stop spending your money with these other groups of people that are capitalizing off of industries that our group created. It should be common sense. If we do that for 90 days, let's just see how much power we really have. Let's see if we really do have leeches on our back that are depending on us to spend our money. As we stop spending our money and realizing the power we have, then you couple onto that armed resistance showing up. You see what I'm saying? But to come out with just arms, that's not enough. You gotta get these leeches off your back. These people are literally living their best lives off of what we do. Y'all wanna throw in on that?
I definitely agree. Just have a sit down, 90-day period, and then the virus or the parasites will start to show themselves.
Yeah.
You'll see those politicians or secretaries coming out. Oh, we got to make sure we're spending the black dollar to keep our black businesses running. No, they fine. You talking about these other businesses. You trying to, so who you working for? Like, again, if we sit down, remove ourselves from the system and actually look at it from a holistic view, then we'll see with clarity, I believe. So I'm definitely on the agreeing with that point.
Yeah.
90 days.
Yeah, just to give us time, and that's will show some type of organized front, on a level that people will. We just got to get enough people on the same page. That's all it boils down to.
This is actually the 1 year anniversary, Chief Blackcoat. I know you're going to share on that as well, but this is the 1 year, well, not 1 year, this is the anniversary week of the Montgomery bus boycott. Now, let's just tie that in. Montgomery was the meeting place for Europeans prior to the Civil War. We just read that, right? That they told delegates to come from all those different states to Montgomery, Alabama. This is the week that the bus boycott started. Where our ancestors boycotted in what city? Montgomery, Alabama. But I'm saying that to say we lack organization. You can't even get on the football field to compete. You ain't even got a line to line up and block. And so that's how we get all these individuals that are able to create platforms within our group of people, because there's no organized body that we all listen to, which should be the Black Congressional Caucus. That is the political body that we all should adhere to, but 80% of us don't even know they exist. Chief Black Coat.
No, I agree with everything you said. Organization, again, us taking pieces from our American history, seeing how these states want to secede from the United States government. They had protection. You know, they could stand on what they, hey, we no longer want to do business how they do business. We already roped off South Carolina. Let's do this. Go ahead and send that letter up north, to the United States. And we can literally learn a lot from this history. And that brings me back to another point, knowing American history. Once you know it, you kind of can recreate it, how you want it to be, because now you understand how it was done. So just moving forward, having a protection is the most important thing. You gotta have a protection, because talking is just talking at that point. And that's how the European government today look at us. You're just talking. You're going outside into the streets. No one cares about that. No one fears that at all.
They definitely show us time and time again.
Do the read, so we'll stop. We'll start at Georgia. Oh, but go ahead, Chief Biko. I ain't stopped. Yeah.
We can't hear you.
You got it on mute.
My bad. All right, here we go. No, I just wanted to show the parallel between this last, this biggest paragraph, I guess, towards the end, and then show the parallel between that and then our Congressional Black Caucus as far as their mission. So I'll go ahead and just read this again. Be it resolved by the people of Alabama in convention assembled that the people of the state of Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Missouri be and are hereby invited to meet the people of the state of Alabama by their delegates in convention on the 4th day of February 1861 at the city of Montgomery in the state of Alabama for the purpose of consulting with each other as to the most effectual mode of securing concerted and harmonious action in whatever measures may be deemed most desirable for our common peace and security. So specific, measurable, one mind, everybody on the same page. Let's go ahead and read what this says here about the Congressional Black Caucus. Since its establishment in 1971, the Congressional Black Caucus has been committed to using the full constitutional power, statutory authority, and financial resources of the federal government to ensure that African Americans and other marginalized communities in the United States have the opportunity to achieve the American dream. This caucus is chaired by the Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, or Beatty. As part of this commitment, the CBC has fought for the past 48 years to empower these citizens and address their legislative concerns by pursuing a policy agenda that includes, but is not limited to, the following. Then you see here, reforming criminal justice, combating voter suppression, expanding access. We can read all of them all throughout here, minority-owned businesses, but nothing specific. Nothing specific to quote unquote Black people. So again, this is supposed to be our leadership people.
Right.
People that's supposed to be those delegates coming together for the harmonious security and peace of our people. Yet they are worried about every other people. And in comparison to these other groups, we'll skip over here to the Hispanic one. Congressional Hispanic Caucus was founded December 1976 as a legislative service organization of the United States House of Representatives. Today, the CHC is organized as a congressional member organization governed by the rule of the United States. The CHC addresses national and international issues and crafts policies that impact the Hispanic community.
Period.
not and others,
Period.
not in Asians, period. That's it. Don't have to read into it, don't have to interpret it. Who else are you, representing? Period. Hispanic communities. And if you want to get even closer, hell, we'll specify Puerto Rico, Commonwealth of the Northern Marina Islands, but Hispanic, period. Skip over here, specific Asians, Asian Pacific Americans. The Congressional Asian Pacific Americans is comprised of members of Congress of Asian and Pacific Islander descent, and members who have a strong descendant in promoting the well-being of Asian American and Pacific Islander community, period. Not in others, not in Blacks, not in any other quote unquote minority group, Asian American and Pacific Islander community, period.
So let's look at this real quick because it's showing 1994, and I just want to throw this out. Chief Whitewater and myself, in the 1990s, there was a lot of movies, Menace to Society, Boys in the Hood, and they were showing the issues between the Asian-run corner store and the neighborhood that they were being placed in, right? This was in the 90s. And they were clashing heads because those corner stores were run by our people and they got bought out. So now let's look at 1994 to now. Now they have the hair care industry, right? Which they're 100% capitalizing off of us. I haven't seen any other group of people wear hair care products the way our group does. And then you have the corner stores, and then you have the nail salons. So what we can see is when they go into the business room, when those Congress people go into the business room for Asians, ever since 1994, they have been specifically itemizing specific industries that their people are going to capitalize off of.
Great point.
And we can see in less than 30 years now, go outside your house and just ride around your neighborhood and look at what they control. They control that in every estate of the United States government. What do we control? We don't control anything. So that means the Black Caucus is not going in there saying, we're going to have X amount of percentage of these industries. Period.
Correct.
We don't have it. I just wanted to throw that in. In my lifetime, I've watched this thing do a 180. I remember corner stores in the neighborhood being run by people who look like me. Now you can't find one. And I'm talking about in the quote unquote hood. You can drive around in the hood and you don't see us. Y'all want to share on that real quick?
No, you're right. It definitely has been a transition from, like you said, the 90s up until now. Just the slow, it's been a slow but steady process of how they have just taken over, basically. They've executed their plan, basically.
And taking over these industries in which we are the biggest, I guess, revenue producers for them. Yeah, biggest consumers for them.
Yeah.
But yet, when we flip the corner on the other side, we never see them come into a soul food restaurant.
You can get the money without touching the bowl.
I think it's them. But yeah, we never see them coming to a soul food restaurant, eating, breaking bread with us, coming into our barbershop or any of the industries that we might have as far as just businesses, rather, because industries 0 to none, but any businesses that we have. So we can see the relationship here is one of, consumer to producer. It's no trading back and forth. So again, like Chief Alligator stated, we step back 90s, don't spend anything. I wonder how much overhead they would have to last us boycotting these industries, and specifically the beauty supply industry, as well as the nail and hair salons. How they would easily be like, okay, we have to see what we're doing now. we've been in the negative for these last 3 months.
Right.
It's a nail in the coffin. If you could just scroll down a little bit, you're looking at the purpose, mission, and goal. You don't see anything on there about criminal reform, correct?
Correct.
Okay, can you go back to the Hispanic caucus? You don't see anything on their About Us page about criminal reform, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, can you go to the Black caucus?
First damn bullet.
Why are we the only group that have to have criminal reform? Nobody else talks about that in their business meeting. In other words, it's non-negotiable. You're not mass incarcerating our people. I just wanted to just put the nail in the coffin so y'all, the only group of people that are in the business of locking you up, it's your own leaders of the Black caucus. That's a negotiating business term. When they go in the meeting, okay, we've allowed 50% incarceration. Now we want to back off to 30. Nobody else agrees for their people to be incarcerated. That's not a thing on any other caucus. Y'all want to build on that before we do the readings? I think that's the net. It shows.
Shit.
Nobody else talks about the fucking justice system.
That's a nail in the coffin itself, showing the prisoner of war, eliminating barriers to re-entry. The hell does that mean? Like what? Reforming criminal justice system and eliminating barriers to re-entry. Y'all,
I mean, it's clear.
If it ain't plain as day, yeah, it's clear
Right.
as day, y'all.
Nobody else, political leaders say, hey, we're going to stop the mass incarceration of Asians. You never hear them say that. Y'all with me?
Mm-hmm.
That's not a thing. That's like, you're not locking up our people. Like, that's not going to happen. How is that a thing? How can you run on a platform and say, well, I'm going to address the criminal system, and you expect our group of people to jump up and down like that's a win?
Not going for it. It's just silliness at this point.
It's a painful reaction. It's an insult to everybody on this video, because we're not entertaining jail. So that means that you're not talking to us. If I'm not concerned about reforming criminal justice, then you're not even talking to me what you're going to do for me.
Right.
Y'all with me?
Correct.
If your kids ain't in jail, then okay, so who you talking to, quote unquote, Black politician? When you talk about reforming, why don't Asians say that? Why don't Hispanics say that? Why don't Europeans say that? Why are you the only group of people that have to talk about reforming slavery? I'll leave it right there.
Nah, I think we can end on that one there. Shoot, real. We'll go ahead before we close out, read the 12 steps as well as the inventor, and then quote and maroon points. And who had these steps for this week?
I do.
All right. Whenever you're ready, there, Chief Quietwater.
Okay. So the 12 steps, number 1, learn about the estate or estates your family originated from. Number 2, who established that estate. Number 3, what nation and confederacy had jurisdiction over that area prior to the European. Number 4, ask all nonprofit organizations you attend what's your position on reparations. Number 5, they either support it or they don't. No support, no money. However, if they support it, then immediately children and adults need weekly classes free of charge about steps 1, 2, and 3, and field trips to ADOS landmarks in that city, county, and state. Number 6, don't support European holidays for the remainder of the 13-week time frame. Avoid spending money with all small businesses that does not hire your people, gas stations, nail salons, subways. All businesses need operating cash. Spend money with American Black businesses. All other groups rely on our energy and operating cash to survive. Set the trend of making other groups follow our lead and support our club services, products, and entertainment. Number 10, the US government is bankrupt. The Federal Reserve prints money, i.e. quantitative easing. It also burns money, i.e. quantitative tightening. The US dollar hasn't been backed by gold since the Richard Nixon in 1971, the Gold Standard Act. The government operates off the full faith of its citizens to pay debt and taxes. American descendants of slavery no longer have faith in the US government. This is why financial support will be altered, stopped, and redirected. Number 11, teach your kids 1 hour a day about their history on this land. A, have them learn about a Black inventor. B, have them know about our heroes. C, they should know the European that conquered the estate you live in. D, they should know the nation of people prior to the European invasion militarily and culturally. And number 12, practicing these steps will educate us on the land we're claiming America and attaches us to the history and the laws of the United States government. Every estate American descendants of slavery live in should have steps 1, 2, and 3 advertised via social media, radio, and newspaper. This in 13 weeks, 1 fiscal quarter will bring us together for our common cause.
Thank you, Chief Quietwater. Next, we'll go ahead and read the quote.
I got that.
Jump into the inventor.
So I am doing quote number 3. It was well understood that if the teaching of history, the European man could be further assured of his superiority, and the Negro could be made to feel that he had always been a failure and that the subjection of his will to some other race is necessary. The freedman then would still be a slave. If you can control a man's thinking, you don't have to worry about his actions. When you determine what a man shall think, you don't have to be concerned. You don't have to concern yourself about what he will do.
Great quote for this week. Chief Alligator is going to give us the inventor.
Okay, I'm going to hit you with Granville T. Woods again, AKA Black Edison. He was born to free Americans. His birth date is April 23rd, 1856, Columbus, Ohio. He died January 30th, 1910, New York, New York. And Woods has claims to nearly 60 patents, many of which were assigned to major manufacturers of electrical equipment that are a part of today's life. So manufacturers are getting credit for things that Mr. Granville T. Woods invented and that the world benefits from now. So we're on his 4th invention. The first one was the electric railway system. The second one I did was the telephone system. The third invention I did was the system of electrical distribution. And today we're doing the apparatus for transmission of messages by electricity. So I'm gonna say that one again, apparatus for transmission of messages by electricity. The federal patent number is 315368. And the patent date was April 7th, 1885. And I'm gonna see if I can get lucky. I'm gonna gamble and see if I can share my screen real quick. Okay. Let me do it. Where we at? Okay, there we go. Didn't let me do it. Let me see. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is the device right here. So you can see apparatus. Do I need to make it bigger?
No, that's fine. I can see it.
Okay. All right, made it a little bit bigger. So apparatus for transmission of messages by electricity. patent date April 7th, 1885. And so here you can see the device. You see the button right here where my mouse is waving. Remember how you would see old time movies with Morse code and they would be hitting the button to send Morse code messages? Who invented that, y'all?
Wow.
Granville T. Woods. You're looking at it right here. This is the electrical, this is the transmission of messages by electricity.
Wow.
And these are what I'm highlighting. These are the instructions on how to use this device. You can see it better with the side image, how the button would be the transmission. So I wanted y'all to see that because that was big when you watch. I got an echo. When we're doing the, if you see a movie about World War I or World War II and you're seeing them do Morse code, now you understand who built that instrument. That's why I wanted to show y'all these images. They took what we created and used it on other groups of people around the world. What if we just started using what we already created? Just throwing that out there. But that's the invention that I wanted to share from Mr. Granville T. Woods. And here, all on the left is where he breaks down how to use this device. You don't have to be learned in electricity. When he invented it, a layman could use this instrument. He even had a receiver, like a sound speaker, where if you didn't know how to hit the button to transmit certain letters or words, you could actually speak through this device as well, and your voice would come over on the other side. All of that information is spelled out here on the left.
Oh, that's pretty innovative for back then too.
Exactly. Damn near the telephone, damn near the cell phone, texting and calling.
Exactly.
Right.
Email, electronic mail. That's what email stands for. Yeah, electricity. Yep. So that's the inventor. I'm done on that.
All right. I'll go ahead and finish off with the what is this? I'm sorry. Legal definitions and maroon points. Let's start with the legal definitions. The first one being American. American is a native to America. Number two, descendants, one who follows in the bloodline of an ancestor, either lineally or collaterally. Number three, slavery, a situation in which one person has absolute power over the life, fortune, and liberty of another. Number four, prisoner of war, POW, person, usually a soldier who is captured by or surrenders to the enemy in wartime. School, any institution at which instruction is given in a particular discipline. And six, education and enlightening experience. And for the five historical maroon points, number one, was a person escaping slavery, seeking freedom, or breaking the law. Number two, providing unity and a strong defense came first. Number three, maroon leaders were first and foremost military figures. Number four, Maroons established guerrilla warfare, planting sharp sticks in thick grass. And number five, Maroons knew their European enemies' language, defenses, and plans. All right, and that summarizes up our stream for this week, week 10. Next week, we'll begin on the secession after Alabama, which I believe will be the military buffer state of Georgia. So that's where we'll start off next week, and that will conclude our show.
All right.